Hello and welcome to Startup Street. I'm Shruti Mishra and with me are Arundhati Ramanan and Ritu Singh. These are the top headlines from the startup space. Another setback for Byju's. In less than a week, NCLT's Bengaluru bench refuses to allow closure of insolvency proceedings against Byju's despite a settlement proposal with BCCI. Says ball is in lenders' court. US-based lenders constitute over 99% of the committee of creditors and have opposed the settlement proposal in the past.
Shares of Ola Electric slipped in trade today on the back of weak third quarter. Also, brokerages trimming the target price further weighed on the stock. This comes at a time when the company made a foray into EV motorcycle segment.
Fintech startup Rupee Flow has raised $1 million in funding in a pre-seed round led by Piper Serica Angel Fund. Rupee Flow will use the funding to roll out a full-stack NRI investment platform, introduce instant UPI access, and expand its global presence.
Sequoia Capital's Evergreen Fund has grown to $19.6 billion. According to a U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filing, the fund's total includes new cash commitments, shares of now public companies that Sequoia previously backed, and cash returns from mergers and acquisitions.
OpenAI is pushing ahead on its plan to reduce its reliance on NVIDIA for its chip supply by developing its first generation of in-house artificial intelligence silicon. The ChatGPT maker is finalizing the design for its first in-house chip in the next few months and plans to send it for fabrication at Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, Reuters reported.
All right, those are the headlines that we're tracking for you today. But our top story, there's another setback for Byju's in the span of less than a week. NCLT Bengaluru's bench has refused to allow the closure of insolvency proceedings against Byju's despite a settlement proposal between the promoter Riju Ravindran and the BCCI. Now, the court has instead directed its lenders to decide on the matter. Ashmit Kumar has been tracking that story in the court for us and joins in with what this means for Byju's now. Ashmit.
Well, it's a difficult situation that Riju Ravindran and Byju Ravindran find themselves in. Bear in mind that just a few days back, we had the NCLT, which had reconstituted, reshaped the COC. By reshaping, they had essentially included the US lenders back on board. The reason that's significant is, well, because US lenders account for 99.41% of the voting share. So that's largely it. The US lenders is the COC. That decision happened just a few days back. Today, the NCLT was required to decide on whether or not Riju Ravindran can pay the BCCI and settle the dispute which began this entire insolvency proceeding. The answer to that the NCLT has given is that, one, will not take a decision. The NCLT will not take a decision. It has instead directed Riju Ravindran to file this application before the COC. Now, that clearly is a difficult position for him, given as how the US lenders have been batting steadfast against any form of settlement. The US lenders have argued that their funds, which they advanced to the Byju subsidiary in the US, has in fact been siphoned off by the likes of Riju Ravindran, Byju Ravindran, that the amounts are large. We're talking about north of 11,000 crore rupees, and the fact that there is no certainty whether these funds which are being used to settle the BCCI payment dispute is in fact those very same funds that the US lenders had advanced, now being round-tripped for a settlement. Now, these are allegations that were made, and it's the US lenders which are now charged with deciding on the fate of this settlement and on the fate of withdrawal of these insolvency proceedings. So clearly a tricky position for both Byju's as well as their founders, Byju and Riju Ravindran. Back to you.
Absolutely, Ashmit. Thank you for joining us. Moving on, also on what's brewing, CNBC-TV18 learns that IPO-bound B2B platform Zetwerk is actively engaging with family offices to secure an investment ranging between $20 million to $30 million. The company is also in negotiations with additional family offices, high net worth individuals, and ultra HNIs for further investments ahead of its impending IPO. Zetwerk has also selected several banks to facilitate its IPO. And to talk to us about all of this and more, joining me now is Amrit Acharya, the co-founder and CEO of Zetwerk. Amrit, welcome back to Startup Street. Let's talk about the IPO. How soon can we expect Zetwerk to list, and what is the IPO size? You know, the public offering is expected to raise at least $500 million with a potential valuation of approximately $5 billion. If you could confirm this.
Thanks for having me on the show. I mean, we are looking to raise around that number that you just described. Of course, the final valuation, that's something the markets decide. What we can share is we just raised a round in December. We raised around 90 million in that full year from a couple of venture capital firms. We did it at 3 billion pre-money. So in some shape, that'll be the anchor point on how we decide the final IPO pricing, the sizing, etc. But yeah, ballpark in those numbers.
How soon are you planning to list?
No, we are looking to do it. We're looking to file the DRHP this year, and that may happen in 6 to 9 months. And however long it takes to get the approval, post which we'll be ready.
All right. You've also selected, Amrit, several merchant banks to facilitate Zetwerk's IPO. CNBC-TV18 has in fact learned that the list includes Axis Capital, Goldman Sachs, Jefferies, JM Financial, JP Morgan Chase, and Kotak Mahindra Bank. Can you throw some light on this?
Yeah, we're still in the process of fully finalizing that list, but some of those names are correct. Like we have finalized, for example, Axis as a left lead. We'll be working with Goldman and Kotak. And few others we are in process of finalizing that. We'll do that shortly, but yes, we'll be hopefully working with 4 to 5 banks in the process.
All right, 4 to 5 banks, and you've confirmed some names from our list. Amrit, in December, like you mentioned earlier, Zetwerk raised $90 million from investors, including Khosla Ventures, Indigo co-founder Rakesh Gangwal, and others. And like I mentioned earlier, sources tell us that you're looking to raise between $20 to $30 million. Can you confirm this? Who are the investors, and where do you plan to use the funds?
Yeah, no, so we are still in mid-process. We have not finalized this raise yet, but we're looking to raise around 30 million. So the main intention for us is, so far, we have built the company, a little bit under the radar, a little bit doing our own thing, focusing on niche areas. And mostly we have done it with the support of, private equity, venture capital, traditional investors. As we are looking at the next phase of growth for us, we want to learn from people who have actually built businesses in India, who have done it over, many years, sometimes even decades, and have seen many cycles in the Indian economy, both positive and negative. That's our main motivation. So we're looking to do that over the next.
So you're confirming our numbers, though. You're also looking to raise another round, and CNBC-TV18 has learned that you're in conversation with other family offices. Is that true? Apart from this 20 to 30 million, are you looking at another round?
No, it's the same one. It's the same one.
It's the same one. Okay, let me talk about your US operations. They've grown rapidly. You've generated, 20 to 25% of the company's global revenue. Going forward, what's the revenue mix going to be, Amrit, and what are the growth targets for that region?
Yeah, see, we believe that manufacturing is at an inflection point like IT services were 20 years ago. Make in India for the Indian economy, but make in India for global economies, leading with the US, leading with Europe. These, I think, will be big macro themes for us for the next 10 years. So today it's around 2025. It used to be 0 3 years ago. So you can imagine it's growing faster than the rest of the business. We would like it to be even as high as more than 40-50%. And that's the direction we are working towards, yeah.
All right. One final question, Amrit, before I let you go. How are the evolving global supply chain dynamics, particularly the China Plus One strategy, impacting your business operations? If you could give us a breakdown of revenue from your different businesses. You've got renewables, electronics, precision parts, and more.
Look, close to a third of our revenue is renewables. Close to another 15% is what we call precision manufacturing, which goes into aerospace, med devices, high-end manufacturing. And then the remaining is electronics and capital goods. This mix will also evolve. Almost 60% of our revenue directly or indirectly comes because of China Plus One. These are global companies either based in India or based abroad who used to buy a lot of product from those markets and are now moving their production to India. The headline, of course, is Apple setting up a huge supply chain for iPhones in India, but it's an industry-wide trend. You talk to most customers, they're all somewhere in that process of figuring out how much of their supply chain they want to transition. So we believe that, next 10 years, that'll be a big team, and that's what we want to operate on.
All right, Amrit, we are pressed for time, so I'll have to quickly wrap up our conversation. But many thanks for joining us on Startup Street today, and wish you the very best with your listing plans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, Bizloan, a non-banking finance company for small and mid-sized firms, lands an investment of 35 crore rupees in a Series A funding round. The round was co-led by the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation and BLinC Invest. This startup aims to expand its credit solutions across rural India, largely in the underserved markets. It's optimistic that the funding will allow the NBFC to empower over 2,500 micro and nano businesses in just 12 months. Now, the 9-year-old company is eyeing new avenues of growth with the recent fundraise. Joining us now to take this discussion forward is co-founder Rahul Jain. Rahul, thank you so much for taking time out and being here with us on Startup Street. You know, Bizloan offers credit solutions for small businesses. If you could sort of take us through what you have on offer and where are you seeing the most demand?
So we at Bizloan, we fund in tier 2, tier 3 cities. We fund in Bharat. So we fund to the customers basically who don't have a documented income. So we fund basis their undocumented income which they have, and that is our key niche also, and that's what we understand well. This works basis our strong and proprietary net credit model of ABC, which we follow, and which help us to evaluate these micro and small enterprises and nano enterprises to fund.
Right, absolutely. And if you could sort of, take us through the kind of clients you cater to and across which sectors are these, and, what's the average ticket size of these loans and the impact you hope to create?
See, so our average ticket size is around 6 lakhs. And
right.
What we do is we fund to small traders, we fund to small retailers, we fund to dairy, we fund to barber shops. So we fund to all small businesses, the small eateries, the small, the sericulture in Karnataka. So whichever are the small and nano businesses which are there in these markets, we fund to them for their business growth.
All right. And, with the funds that you've currently raised, you aim to expand these credit solutions as well as your presence, right? So if you could elaborate on your fund allocation plan and what are the new credit solutions on the anvil?
So we are a 30-branch network. So this current fundraise is basically a growth fund. Part of it would also be used for technology, but basically this is a growth fund. We are a 30-branch network as of now. We are in Haryana, UP, part of Rajasthan and Karnataka. We want to expand our network to 60 branches next year and double our book. So we want to cater to, up North Karnataka. We want to fund to North Haryana. We want to fund in Uttarakhand. These are the markets we want to expand.
All right. So you've also...
I'm sorry, I missed UP.
So these are the markets that you're looking to expand into. And, you've disbursed nearly 774 crore rupees in loans across 26 branches that you have. So what's the target that you've set for yourself this year? And by how much do you want to grow the book? And also, how has it performed in terms of, gross NPAs, collections, etc.?
So we will close this year with a gross AUM of around 165 crores. And we want to double the book next year. We would be at around 300 plus crores. And as far as when we talk about or on the performance of the book has performed well. We are at a gross NPA of 2.1% with a net NPA of 1.4%.
All right. And if you could sort of, take us through, you pointed out that you want to expand further in North Karnataka and North Haryana, but if you could sort of take us through how big your presence is right now in India, how many cities do you hope to be in by the end of this year? What's the expansion plan on that front? And what about branches as well? You have 26 currently. So are you looking to open up more branches? What's the target on that front?
So we have moved from 26 to 30 branches now. We are typically in Haryana, UP, Karnataka, and part of Rajasthan. These are the markets which we are present. So we have chosen our markets and we are expanding now further in North Karnataka. We are expanding now in North Haryana. And next go-to market is what we are doing is now further in UP, and Uttarakhand is the next next state which we want to expand. So we want to be a 60-branch network by next year.
So a 60-branch network by next year, and you're looking at Uttarakhand as your latest market. All right.
Haryana and Haryana is again a big market, and up Haryana it's a big market. Up Karnataka is a big market. These are the markets we want to further expand.
All right, so looking to double down on these markets as well. All right, Rahul, thank you so much for taking time out and being on the show with us today, and we wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
With that, it's time for us to head into a short break. But coming up next, cybersecurity startup Astra Security has raised $2.7 million in a growth capital round led by Emergent Ventures. We speak with Shikhil Sharma, the co-founder and CEO of Astra Security, to know more about the company's growth plans. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're watching Startup Street. Now, cybersecurity startup Astra Security has raised $2.7 million in a growth capital round that was led by Emergent Ventures. Now, the company had previously raised about $120,000 in a seed funding round from others in 2018. This round of fresh funds is going to be used to accelerate its development, enhance its capabilities, to uncover some vulnerabilities in cloud environments, and double down, more importantly, on its focus on using artificial intelligence. For more on this, joining me now is Shikhil Sharma, the co-founder and CEO of Astra Security. Shikhil, thanks very much for joining us here on Startup Street. You know, you've been cash positive while scaling. What made this the right moment to raise funding, and how do you plan to deploy the money, this $2.7 million you've raised?
Thanks a lot for that. And yes, we've built the business in a very scalable, we've scaled massively, but we built the business in a sustainable way because that's been our DNA since day one. And with AI coming in, we saw a massive opportunity that we could actually build a really, really large outcome out of our business, hundreds of millions in revenue. And that led us to actually raise this growth capital from Emergent Ventures.
Okay. I was reading that you've uncovered more than 5,500 vulnerabilities a day last year and helped customers prioritize remediation of more than 2 million of those. You claim the number could triple by year end. Largely, what does this tell us about the evolving, threat landscape and the work that you're doing in this field?
Oh, absolutely. That number is correct, and it's growing massively as we speak in 2025. So with AI coming in, right, everyone is talking about productivity. We're talking about AI agents to do your financials, do sales enablement, sales outreach, customer relationship management, you name it. Everything using AI, right? Which means like people are becoming super productive. Interestingly, threat actors and hackers are also getting more productive and innovative. So hackers are also building these AI agents which hack 24/7. So as we all know, you need fire to fight fire. So at Astra, we're essentially building this platform which mimics hacker behavior to find vulnerabilities continuously in our customers' websites, APIs, cloud servers, you name it. So that's how we actually using AI. We realized that one interesting insight that we had was that whenever you hear about a breach or a data which got leaked due to a hack, a lot of times it's not really one vulnerability. And a lot of times it's not even a vulnerability which is a high severity vulnerability. So what usually causes a breach is essentially 2 to 3 vulnerabilities combined with each other. And those vulnerabilities could be one medium severity vulnerability, one low severity vulnerability, but combined with each other to actually cause a breach. So what happens on the organization side is whenever they get a pen test done or a security scan done, they just prioritize based on that severity score that they get, that it's a high severity vulnerability. But usually there are other vulnerabilities which get overlooked, that's the kind of correlation that we are able to offer to our customers where we tell them that, hey, I mean, you're just looking at this low, high severity vulnerability in silos, but probably you should not be looking at it because there's some other defense mechanism in your system which is mitigating it. How about looking at this medium and low severity vulnerability in your APIs and your cloud servers, which can be combined to actually cause a breach, which can be fatal. So that's something that organizations seem to value quite a bit.
All right. Speaking of organizations, you've built a client base across 70 plus countries. And, if I look at your customers, they range from ITC to Mama Earth to Muthoot Finance. It's quite a wide range. Tell us where you see the next big growth opportunity, the next big market in terms of growth for you, across segments, across geographies. What are you looking at?
Absolutely. I mean, the innovation's been received really well by customers across the geos. Interestingly, we do not have any feet on the ground in the US right now. And that is one of the areas where we would plan to expand with this fundraise, where we, without having any feet on the ground in the US, we've managed upwards of 60% of customer base, which is in the West, in addition to a lot of customers in India and APAC region. So we've realized that with this inbound marketing, we've managed to crack customers across the globe. So if we actually are putting a targeted efforts with sales team and people on ground in these geos, the growth potential and the types of customers that we'd be able to get would be many, many more. And a special focus would be on mid-market as well as enterprises going forward, because we've realized that when it comes to mid-market, these set of organizations usually have good amount of budgets for security, but they do not really have the expertise of choosing or navigating through the sea of jargons of all sorts of keywords that cybersecurity field comes with. So we've built a solution which actually is essentially helps them navigate through that. Helps them achieve the outcome without navigating through the jargon, and works really well for lean to no security teams or engineering teams which are security conscious.
All right, Shakil, we'll have to leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining in with that, and we wish you the best with your venture going ahead.
Thank you.
And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. From Shruti, Ritu and me, goodbye and many thanks for watching. More news and updates coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.